Hi, everybody. Welcome to this episode of SubCulture. I am Sammy Joe, and I have a very special guest joining me today. I have Matt Morton, and the first thing I want to do is congratulate him. He is the 2021 wheelchair PNBA Natural Olympia champion. So, Matt, I want to say congratulations on that honor.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I'm so happy to be here.
That must have been such an incredible weekend for you.
Oh my gosh, it was amazing. I mean, I did bodybuilding back in the 90s with the NPC IFBB until I got hurt, and I was always kind of wanting that back. And then I found the avenue slowly to do it. But, to be in an avenue to where 16 countries are competing and just, you know, medals and trophies and all that are fun and great, but the experience is really in the people you meet. You know that
Yes.
yourself.
Yes. Especially on this side, on the natural side of bodybuilding, I have met so many wonderful people. I mean, all bodybuilding in general, but I just feel like our small little niche is just, I love it. It's so close, and you see the same people, you run into the same faces, and it's family. It's our little
Well, yeah,
subculture. That's
because
why
we
I'm subculture.
appreciate, it's true because we as naturals, the true naturals, you know, um, we appreciate more, I think, because we all know how hard it is to really get that last little quarter inch off and those last few ounces
When
and
you were younger, you did wrestling, you did powerlifting. So, like, sports, health, fitness has always been part of your life, even at a younger age. You, I also want to say thank you because you are a former Marine. You went off into the armed forces, and when you
yes.
came back, you had sustained an injury. And I have not asked you about this. So this is going to be my first time hearing this, but why don't you tell us a little bit about what happened? Because I
Okay.
think I think for me, I think a lot of people are scared to ask that question. I think a lot of people aren't sure how to approach that or how to ask that. You have a story to share, and I think it's going to inspire a lot of people because you were big into health and fitness. You sustained an injury, but look where you are now. So that is a huge inspiration for other
Well, thank
people.
you.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I got hurt pretty bad. I was one of the Marines who helped rescue Scott O'Grady when the downed Air Force pilot in Bosnia in 1995, and that was crazy. Um, I was part of the helicopter crash in 1996 in Liberia, Africa, and that was just like, I'd had injuries before then and that sort of thing, but that's kind of what did me in. The doctor had told me, the Navy doctor said, listen, if you weren't a power lifter, man, or a bodybuilder, it would have been curtains for you,
Wow.
not just physical therapy and really hard grunt work. And when I say physical therapy, they had me looking like the Tin Man and Schwarzenegger's endoskeleton from Terminator, just all electroded up and the whole thing. And it hurt,
Yeah.
I just, it hurt really bad. Not one of those, oh, I slammed the door on my hand kind of thing. It was, holy crap, my life has just changed,
Right. So
you know?
you went down in a helicopter. That's ultimately how you sustain these injuries.
Yeah. And, it didn't help that just a few months earlier, Purple Star had happened. And that was supposed to be the biggest mock invasion next to D-Day Normandy since World War II. They were basically doing that with our modern equipment, showing like if we had to invade a country sort of thing.
Hmm.
And two helicopters collided, one going up, one coming down during low tide. And yourself, low tide is worse than high tide because the suction back just like tears you apart. So, you know, I watched it just bam, because going slow, you live close enough around, you see that stuff going on all the time. So
Hmm.
here comes one down, here comes one up, and bam. So here's all this fire and metal and just I took off my gear, you
Yeah.
know, just down. I even took my boots off cause and just had my cami pants on, and I was like, oh well, got stuff to do. So I'm trying to navigate these tides while getting people back. It was just yeah.
Wow.
So I finished off 1996 after two helicopter collisions, sitting in Mostar, Bosnia, in a gunner's chair, making sure that when the bridge was being built for NATO to save all of those people, um, I was chief of the security for that. It was crazy.
Wow. Wow. So you were told, thank goodness you were a power lifter and you did have that extra muscle. Your doctor said, thank goodness you were involved in health and fitness prior to this accident, to the extent that you were, because it saved your life.
Oh,
And I
absolutely.
have to imagine that it helped with your healing as well.
You as a natty, you and every one of my brothers and sisters in this natural crusade, you know that everything responds 100% to the food and minerals you put in your mouth. So, if your nutrition is not good, your body's not going to heal. Your body wants the fruits and the vegetables and all of this business. It wants enough water to where you want to be sweating all the time, you
Right?
know? And, back that was in 96, those three things happened. In May, I want to say May or June. No, I'm sorry, July of 1995, right after the O'Grady mission, Barcelona, Spain, all NATO games. I was the 63 kilogram champion for Greco Roman wrestling, and pound for pound, I set three records for powerlifting. And that's NATO. That's not the little high school gym on Camp Lejeune against the Army guys that came over from Fort Bragg and up from Pensacola and all that stuff. Nah, man, we had the Greeks there. We had the people from London, Ireland, just everywhere.
Wow.
And I just sat there in my warm up and my earphones. I was such a nerd. I did the same thing I've always done. I just kind of rocked
It,
back and forth to my
it's
Sammy Hagar
so,
and Van Halen
yeah.
and just waited for somebody to tap on my shoulder. And I was like, oh, it's my turn? Oh,
Right.
okay. Because that's just how I got in my zone. I'm that weirdo at a show. I'm helping other people until the person, when they call you and say you've got 20 minutes and then you've got 10 minutes and you got 5 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't start doing, I take an amino drink to help push my NO level up,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm doing little bands here and there. But I'm telling you, I'm still helping people do their posing and all this because if I concentrate on what I'm about to do,
Mm-hmm.
it'll be catastrophic. I'll overthink it.
So this helps you. Helping others
Yeah,
helps you relax and keep your mind off from,
sure.
yeah, of course.
Because I
And you meet
figure
people, and you meet people
oh
that
yeah,
way.
oh, it's the best.
Yeah, yeah. You don't want to be in the corner with your headphones on and the whole day pass you by. There's too many great
Nah,
people to meet. I agree. I agree. So you have your accident, you go through, I imagine you go through many stages of healing, right? Not just physically, but mentally, because now your life has changed, right? You are,
right.
why don't you tell us? So you're not paralyzed completely. We were talking about that earlier. So what exactly is your injury?
Okay, my C2, C3, C4, and C5, starting at the base of your cranium,
Mm-hmm.
working down into the middle, at the very beginning to where the back part of your clavicles and your shoulders,
Right.
right, your traps tie in.
Mm-hmm.
Um, those are bad.
Those are
I mean,
bad.
I don't know
Okay.
medical terms. I just know where the stuff's at.
Sure. Sure.
T9, you've got your T11, your T10, your T9. It's more
Mm-hmm.
kind of in the starting to be at the top middle of your shoulder blades.
Yeah.
That's just it's incomplete. I mean, and they always ask me, well, what's the difference between complete and incomplete? You know, And
Mm-hmm.
the best way to answer that is complete means you've lost all feeling. Instead of the way a lot of everything works for me,
Mm-hmm.
think of the horror movie when the lights are flickering off and on all crazy. They'll
Right.
come on and then the water will hit it and then, it's just odd. So my T9, and then I've got curvature from my T9 halfway down my back, almost like a scoliosis. You could tell a few times. Look at how I just sit naturally. I
Mm-hmm.
have to physically concentrate to keep it, the same.
Mm-hmm.
And my L4, L5, and S1 from all the paratrooping and, you
Oh,
know,
let's
all the
show them this
jumping.
picture here.
Oh, that
What?
one was fun. I was yelling bonsai and what's up on the way out of that thing. That was so fun.
Yeah, you guys didn't mess around over there. That's some serious stuff happening.
You know, um, it always amazes me, and this is going to sound stupid. I'm sorry, but no modern movie, I've seen them here and there, and I'm like, they don't get it right. They don't even try to get it right. They think it's like little kids playing Call of Duty, and it's like, oh my gosh, look at this. Da, 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 da. Whereas, a movie like Heartbreak Ridge, that was filmed on Camp Pendleton out in California, that whole movie.
Huh.
You see the enlisted housing when the ex-wife's throwing the beer at Clint Eastwood. You're looking at. Well, I'd have to go into Marine speak on what we called some of those mountains, so I'll just leave that for another time. But I have to share this, please.
Yes, let's hear it. I have to
This
hear this.
guy was bitching in front of me, and our platoon commander comes walking up, and he goes, "I thought you wanted to be a Marine." He goes, I do, but can I do it tomorrow? He goes, do you want me to push you down this hill? It was such a different time because everybody had been in Vietnam, Grenada, or Beirut. The people directly in charge of me had gone and picked up Noriega in Panama and just finished Desert Storm. So all of this, well, people have opinions and rights and theories, and we really want to know how they feel. The only time they wanted to know how we felt was, are you hungry or not?
Do we need
I
to
mean, they
feed
did
you?
not care, you know?
Jeez. Yeah,
I mean, our
that's tough.
chaplains even told us to quit being, little doves and grow a pair. And these are the Catholic priests and the Protestant ministers. I watched a guy once, Father, I don't feel so good. Well, you're fat. No wonder you can't run. I'm not letting you out of the Marine Corps because you can't pass your PT test. Now get out of here. I was like, okay, he said, I mean, it was a totally different time.
I'm sure. Oh yeah, we're going back to like in the 90s. So yeah, very different time.
92,
Yeah.
yeah, 92, 93. I met Franco Colombo and Arnold Schwarzenegger on Camp Pendleton the first time. Franco was
Wow.
doing a powerlifting seminar, and Arnold comes blazing in with these big Jeeps, and semi trucks full. He had 250,000 pounds of weights and all the
Wow.
brand new hammer strength. We got it on Camp Pendleton before the Olympic team in Colorado.
Wow, as you should. Let me ask you this. What really inspired you to get into bodybuilding? Because you did your first show back in the 90s, back in what, 1994? You did a
I
show. It was
did
an
I did one
NPC.
in '93, and
Okay.
then started going from there. And I did an ABA show that is now the INBA PNBA. They were having a show right outside
Mm-hmm.
of Camp Pendleton.
Mm-hmm.
So I went and did it because some of the guys were bodybuilders. They're like, dude, you're a power lifter and you're ripped as crap because you're running
Right.
all the time and you're always doing front squats and not back squats. I was
So
like, all right.
so
And I
was
came in
it
second.
like what inspired you to do that? Were like some of the other guys doing it, or were they kind of just
Yeah. They
telling
were
you
like,
you
why
should
don't you
do
do
it?
it? They were like,
Yeah.
you got to do this, man. You could light it
Okay.
up as the king of the 150 and below. I was like, shut up, man.
So what
No,
was
really.
what was that
But in
first
the very
experience
beginning,
on stage like for you?
you know what? I wasn't scared. You know how everybody gets those
Oh,
butterflies and
yeah.
the lights come on and you're like, oh my God, where am I at? And, you know, it's
Yeah.
like a Napoleon Dynamite kind of moment where you're like, nah, man, they hit and I wanted to make sure it was set. And I just went right into a most muscular and then came up and did the double bicep and into the victory to a lat spread.
Okay.
And it's
Now,
all because I sat down and I'd been watching Pumping Iron and
I was going to
Conan and
say,
all that when I was little.
okay.
You know, I met Lou Ferrigno by accident when CBS was having like a Friday night fanfare day
Mm-hmm.
in around Cape Girardeau. Thing had the General Lee and Dukes of Hazzard on it, and they had Catherine Bach there, and they had Lou Ferrigno there. They couldn't afford Bill Bixby, of course, but I was like, one day I'm gonna look like you, and he just kind of chuckled. He goes, "You gotta grow some." You know?
Because he's a tall man. He's a
He's
big,
six
yeah.
foot seven,
He's
and
huge.
I met him on his tour again. You know, when he was doing his '94 book tour,
Okay.
and
Cool.
nah, but still, my favorite day is Arnold and Franco that day at Camp Pendleton. I have
Yeah.
the book, the original yellow book, in my bedroom
Mm-hmm.
of Arnold's encyclopedia autographed, and I have Franco's Little Red from '82
Mm-hmm.
autographed.
Very
I'd
cool.
love to show them to you.
So you've been following bodybuilding for a long time. You did that first
Oh, my
show.
whole life.
So you did that first show in 93, and then
Yeah.
when you were discharged from the military, how long was there a span before you said, "You know what? I'm going to I'm going to get back into bodybuilding." Like what inspired you to get back on stage, and how long was it between um your accident and when you decided, I'm going to get back into this?
My last NPC show was 1994, the Armed Forces. I did
Okay.
that show in 94 and
Mhm.
then came back in 95 and won the pro version. You
Okay.
know, because you can send in your pro card, but you can't really call yourself a pro till you competed as a pro
Correct.
with
Yes.
the IFBB. You know, it's
Right.
the same thing with us. I don't care if it's NGA, IPE Pro Elite. Just because you win the division and you're a new pro, you're not being asked to be sticking around and taking pictures just because you won it that day. You gotta come back and compete at least once in the pro division to even
Right.
be considered. So,
Right.
um, that was my last show. And then when I got out of the Marine Corps in '97, I was like, man, I could barely walk. You know, I've got these knee braces, I have these canes, I got this and that and the other. So I was trying to do all sorts of stuff for physical therapy, taekwondo, not the Olympic stuff, but you know, doing the katas and the forms and this and that. And you know, I always stuck with doing bodybuilding type workouts, but I didn't bother trying to compete because I knew no matter what, I couldn't compete, you know, where I was at. And then in 2008, I want to say, I fell down 12 stairs. And you know that hole, you get hit one more time just the right way, that's it for you. You know, you hear that on every boxing movie, you know, every Rocky episode,
Oh
you know, that
no.
kind of thing. And so that was it. Um, then, you know, I kept up with trying to do the weight training and doing the forms every day and all this kind of stuff.
Mhm.
Well, in 2016, my Gulf War syndrome finally caught up with me with my kidney and my liver and PTSD and not really caring about how I ate. I was drinking too much Mountain Dew and just eating so much nonsense. I'm
Mhm.
talking, hey, a Mountain Dew with a cupcake. This is awesome. Oh, well, you know, that kind of thing.
Oh no.
Man,
So
I had been the personal trainer from 2000 to 2002. I was the head of the personal training department for the Jewish Community Center, and I looked great. I mean, you know, making a lot of money for him and all that. And then everything just started, injuries get worse, and I had to go and do other things.
Mm-hmm.
But it was that trip in 2016
Mm-hmm.
to the ICU. My wife sits outside my bed. Now, here's my mom and my stepdad, my brother-in-laws. They're like, yeah, get better, all this, thoughtful, caring things. But my wife, when they leave, said, you told me we were going to grow old together, dude. Quit lying to me. And she was right.
Right.
So, in 2016, when I got out of the ICU, I went across the street to Gold's Gym, and I put a 5 in the decline hammer strength, and just to move hurt exponentially, like tremors. In California when they're all shaking around and all that from the earthquake. And it's like, dude, this is terrible. So I just kept going to the gym and going to the gym, building back up.
Mm-hmm.
And
So your wife wanted you this physically fit. She wanted you to take care of yourself. She saw your health declining, and she was like, listen, you need to get control of this so that we can grow old together. And that was kind of like
yes,
your aha moment. You were like, you're right.
yes.
I do. And you just took it from there.
Yeah, I mean, and in 2017, let me see. September, yeah. Just
Mm-hmm.
13 months later, I win the NANBF St. Louis Gateway Naturals. I mean, I tore it down.
That's awesome.
Everybody kept running up to me. Oh, you're so professional. I didn't have the heart to say, well, yeah, I'd want because who cares,
I mean, nobody can ever take that from you from 1995, 1996.
Yeah.
There you were doing it again.
And then I took a year off, but I always kept training. I just wanted a lean gain and,
Yeah.
all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And because I was thinking like an able-bodied person, just wrecking my central nervous system with too much weight. And I was like, there's got to be a better way to do this. You know what I mean? But
Mm-hmm.
as I do, when you learn what exactly works, you keep on that foundation,
Yeah.
And then 2019, well, towards the end of 2018, I heard somebody in town say, yeah, he thinks he's somebody else, blah, 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 all of this nonsense. I'll meet him on stage and I'll beat the crap out of him, that sort of thing. And the Marine in me was like, man, I will see you later, alligator, that kind of thing.
Of course.
We got to the pump up and he turned chicken. I was like, hey, squirrel, what? This is exactly what I said to this man. I said, wait a minute, squirrel, why in the world did you talk all that junk and then spend all that money? You get tanned up. John and Becky are sitting right there looking at you,
He didn't
and
even
you
get on
won't go on
stage?
stage.
Really? I don't think I've ever been to a show where I've seen that actually happen.
Well, after I'd gotten done with my tan and everything, I did one of these, and just did the 3/4 turn and then leaned back a little bit and tighten one more time. And he's like, just no. But that's
Wow.
pre-diabetic me, you
Okay.
know.
Mm-hmm.
And
So
I
you,
really wasn't even taking many supplements at that time either. I was just taking protein powder and caffeine pills. I'd take 2 caffeine pills pre-workout and just protein powder. That was
wow,
all food.
that's awesome. No, I mean, and some people believe in that anyway. There are very few, they don't supplement a lot.
Right.
But you learn as you said it earlier, like we learn that recovery is super important. We have to give the nervous system a rest. And then we learn the supplementation, what works for us, right? And what
Right.
our body needs or what it's deficient in or how we can enhance our physiques just
Oh,
through good nutrition
absolutely.
and supplements. So those were your first 2 shows. And then things get a little bit more serious on the natural side and in the wheelchair division. And that's something I wanted to ask you too. as you've been competing over the years now in the wheelchair division, have you seen it evolve? Have you seen like more
I
shows
have.
offering it? Have you seen more people participating? Like, I want to
I
know from
have.
your side. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
That's
When I first started, it was almost like looking at Gunsmoke when it's dark outside and everybody's still in the saloon. You know, just a few people on the street and the sagebrush going by and more numbers than you see people on the set. Well, there's more and more. But,
okay.
and I don't want to make any enemies here, but I hate, this is the thing I hate. When I go to the gym, that I get it so much. You mean there's bodybuilding for people in wheelchairs? I thought you guys were just the Paralympics and track. And I'm like, nah, man. And then I hit a pose. They're like, yeah, never mind. We get it. Right? That kind of thing.
Right.
But the one thing that discourages me, and it's because of the push and the PR and the Ronnie Colemans and this sort of thing. I don't care if people do PEDs and anabolics. If you
Mm-hmm.
want to hurt your health, bro, go right on and take all the Anavar you want with your Captain Crunch and have a good day. I'm not going to, right? With my kidney and liver damage, if I even took half a cycle of D-bol, I'd be dead. You know, that kind of thing. We know people who've done that sort of stuff and got caught and excused. And, you know, that's the dark side, the people who think they're going to be slick and they're not.
Right.
But I'm sick and tired of everybody thinking, well, I got to go to the IFBB. No,
Right.
you're already sick in a wheelchair, you goof. Your internal organs aren't working worth a crap. You know,
So you
what
feel
are you
like
doing to
in
yourself?
they are even in the wheelchair division. So you're saying that a lot of them are taking supplements to go compete versus just staying natural. Like they are using performance enhancing drugs.
I have too many friends in the IFBB.
Really?
I know exactly what they're taking, yes.
Wow.
I mean,
So
I'm still friends with Leela Brada and Vince Taylor as
mhm,
genuine. I mean, I could call them anytime I wanted.
mhm. So
I
are
was
you
in
seeing
that
it
circle before.
are you seeing it are you seeing it evolve here on the natural side for the better?
I am. I am. And you know what? When I made the post on adaptive sports and something or another on the internet, and they came back with so many favorable responses,
Mhm.
and there's an IFBB pro in Colorado. She has a team and she refuses to train anybody on any kind of PED. You know, that's, you know, whether they're physically adaptive, standing or sitting, you know, they could be an amputee or
Oh, sure.
something.
Mhm.
So, you know, she refuses to help them if they come up and like, hey, can I take all this? No, go take it to the trash, you know, that sort of thing.
Right. Now,
Because,
do you have a coach
yeah,
or do you do this on your own? Do you prep yourself?
okay. I used a coach for my Olympia,
Okay.
and she was amazing. I mean, when I started, I had like a 39-inch, you know, tape around my belly button, right? But I
Mhm.
had six pack abs. You know,
Right.
what do you do as a diabetic? See, in 19, I wasn't a diabetic yet. In 17 or 19, January of 20, right before the COVID shut down,
Oh
my
no.
test came back and I was. And it was crazy. I had to relearn how to do everything. So it's weird seeing somebody with that diabetic, you know. I always make a joke, man, you could put a straw in my abs and, you know, there's 5 gallons of water. You know, but how do you explain six pack abs, you know, holding that much water? It's called diabetes. And
Ah,
how do you get past that?
right.
And Mandy Courtcamp was great. She competes in the MPC and all that, but you know, here locally in St. Louis and Kentucky. And I knew, you know, if I was going to get the right answer, it was going to be from her.
That's
And I had
great.
been her friend for over a decade anyway. Everybody I knew that wanted to compete in a show, I sent to her. Yeah,
Okay.
the women. I
So
was
you've
like,
seen her
look,
prep clients. You knew what she
I
was
was like,
capable
you
of.
go over and see Mandy, and when she tells you give her this money, you just give it to her and shut up and do what she says. And I mean, you could look at my back shots. I sent you that
Yeah,
of
let's see. This is right here as a comparison.
the top one is July 31st of 2021. That bottom one is the Olympia in November 12th of last year.
Okay. Yeah.
So, and I started August 15th, August, September. Yeah. So for that 12 weeks, you know, and it was all on food and sauna.
Okay. I hear a lot of
I
great
mean,
things about the sauna.
I'm telling you, it's nature's wonder.
You're a fan, right? You're a believer.
Well, sure. I mean, anytime I needed to drop weight when we were wrestling, I'd just go sit in the boiler room on ship in a hooded sweatshirt and the cold weather PT gear for like a half an hour, just with a big old 2 quart, 2 quarts of water. And I'd drop 2 pounds in about 40 minutes.
I would believe that. So let
I
me ask
mean,
you
it's cool.
let me ask you this. So how in your opinion could we bring more exposure to this division? Because I think there are people out there that are fit or are looking for an outlet and they would get involved if they knew about it. Do you feel that way? Like if there was
I
more
do
exposure that this division
1000%.
could grow?
100,000%. And people like you, and hopefully people like me, can do that because IPE Pro Elite offers it, INBA, PNBA offers it. I talked to the OCB, uh, I guess Kim Hillier, and she got me in contact with um, the lady who's in charge of the OCB Battle for St. Louis here in July. And I was like, why don't you offer this? And she said, well, nobody's signing up for it. I was like, do they know about it? Well, we don't really. I was like, but your poster shows the sexiest men and women, so don't come with that. Don't. Just don't. I'm the wrong person to play that game with. Just because you don't promote doesn't mean you're not. Yes, you are. Yes, you certainly are. So, by what I do, I look at it this way. Arnold and those guys wanted to get bodybuilding out of the dungeon and out of the little, like Hulk Hogan and those guys did for pro wrestling.
Sure.
I look at it like if I'm Mr. Olympia, it's my responsibility as much as the promoters
Right. You have
to
a
make
great
the
platform.
awareness.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who's going to argue with the Mr. Olympia, and the person who's really hurt and who's, when I used to run the Adaptive Martial Arts Alliance full time,
Mm-hmm.
I used to teach people from muscular dystrophy all the way up to amputees, doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked them, would you guys go to another teacher? They're like, do they get to be handicapped? I was like, doesn't matter. Well, no, because we don't care unless it's another handicapped person. So there it is. I heard from the audience exactly what they wanted, right?
So you need to promote
So,
it. They want to hear it
and
from
I
you.
am,
Yeah.
when I'm doing that adaptive sports on Instagram, and that's how um that IFBB lady found me.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, "Oh, I got this team," and much like you found me, and
Yeah, we
and
connected.
that was it. You know,
Yeah.
as soon as we both, it only takes a moment.
Yeah, I
You
would love to
know,
see this division grow because I think that it could, just like bodybuilding saves lives for all of us. I think a lot of us, it's an outlet, And I think even more so in your situation, it's such a positive outlet. And I'd love to see more athletes in wheelchairs competing, because they're not only physically but mentally. It's so positive, right? I mean,
Yeah, and I
it.
don't even I want them there
Yeah.
because we had and her husband,
Mm-hmm.
they're amateurs for IMBA,
Mm-hmm.
and if you met her, you would understand she's not gonna with her wheelchair do some kind of T walk or anything like that, right?
Right.
But they had her physical therapy wheel, and she got to perform her exercises on stage.
Nice.
And to me, that was incredible. And all it takes is somebody to do it. And
Mm-hmm.
then somebody brave enough to be like, well, I don't care. You know? And, I'm very pro IMBA, PNBA. Trust me, I'll go and do personal appearances to try and help promote for the sport anytime. But yeah, my banner sits in the Kakos family's front yard. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No,
Because they
they've.
were the ones who really, they were the ones who made inclusion a cool thing.
Right. Right.
You
And
and
you
I
were.
talked about some of the old NAMBF stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I mean, and
and that's what
you.
it's all about, making people feel like they deserve to be there and let them
Absolutely.
shine.
Uh,
I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's their first show or their 50th.
absolutely. No, I think you're on the right track for sure. Putting it out there, sharing it. Now, do you belong to like groups where people like I belong to a lot of like women specific groups on Facebook, right? Where it's just women talking about like
Yes,
girl
I
stuff.
do.
So those would be the type of groups where you would need to share and have like a loud voice and get people excited to get involved and be an advocate so they have somebody to ask questions and come to you, right? If you just keep posting in groups like that,
Right.
where
Which I did
maybe
with that
prior to that,
athletic
they,
sports.
right, maybe prior to not hearing you or seeing you, they would have never even knew it was an option or thought about
Right.
competing in bodybuilding. But then they see it like the same way I was with natural bodybuilding. I used to compete in the NPC, and I would never tell anybody. I would never really scream from the rooftops that I was a drug free athlete, just to respect the athletes at those
Well,
shows.
sure.
But I would just say, hey, follow me on Instagram or, let's connect. And once they came
No,
over to,
right.
they would see that I was different and they would see, okay, she does other leagues. She competes in other organizations.
Right.
And then a lot of the natural athletes would follow me. But that was because they were introduced to something that they didn't even know existed, right? And that's how we
Well,
build our platforms.
that's exactly right. And that's why, I talked to the promoter and opened up a dialogue. I said, I will come across town
Yeah.
for you, because I never truly get out of shape where I can't within a week or two if I know a date,
Right.
get in ready to pose. Um, I said, look, I'll come for guest posing. I'll come to talk about what this is. I don't care.
Hmm.
And so,
Cool.
we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, yeah. Nice, nice. Well, let's see. Let me see if I have any other questions because I really think this comes down to you being an inspiration. You are a military vet, you were injured, you came back, still pursued something that you loved and did prior to your accident. And now you're at the highest level competing as a pro and the current PNBA Natural Olympia champion. So that's a huge inspiration. And it
Well, you know
shows
what
what you've
drives me?
overcome. Yeah, what drives
Yes,
you?
thank you. You know what? What really drives me now, because you know how a lot of people win. You've seen this 1,000 times. Hey, I won, cool, and then months later they're sitting around eating Cheetos and doing their thing, right? Just having a good time and just working out at the gym and that kind of thing. But they don't have that competitor mindset. I liken that to the people in university when they study for midterm and finals, but They just cram to pass a test. They don't remember anything after. You
Right.
know, is it your heart, your soul, your blood? It better be, you know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so now, as Mr. Olympia, I'm like, dude, I'm the guy to beat. That's pretty awesome. Boy, I better get to
And
work still.
right. Because they're coming for you. Right.
They are, and bring them.
Yeah. Yeah.
People to share the stage with that, and I wouldn't even care if I lost that day. That means 50 other people are doing it,
Yeah.
and that is so cool. You know, I
Absolutely.
sat down in 6 weeks and wrote a book, you
Wow.
know, kind of talking about this story, you know, like Arnold's education of a bodybuilder. You know how
Mm-hmm.
it was kind of like this was my life in Austria, and then Joe brought me over here, and I won Mr. Olympia, and then I did Conan and End of Story. Well, that's kind of how I did mine, but I did mine more in a okay. Here's how you progress to become an advanced athlete to an advanced bodybuilder, and all the exercises are people, you know, of me just sitting in a wheelchair. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and so many people get confused. I'm not getting bigger because I'm doing my bar curls and this and that and the other. No, it's all about the way you do these exercises,
Sure.
you know. And, you know, I mean, how many times have you seen ladies doing their stiff leg deadlifts and you're like, she's doing the same thing I am, but I'm making improvements because I know how to focus and concentrate. I'm not just going up and down,
Right.
you know. And that's it right there. Because a lot of times my wife actually has to push in on the muscle part for it to activate because of my nerve damage. It's like I know I'm doing it right, and visually
Right.
I'm seeing it go right, but
Right.
I'm not feeling it.
So this book, is this something that you're going to have published? Because I think
Yes,
I need to buy
yes,
it
it's
and I want a
being
signed
edited
copy
right
of it.
now. Absolutely. Um,
I think that's awesome.
I'm having absolutely I'll do that for you. It's being edited right now, and
Okay.
it should be done very, very, very soon.
Okay. Yeah. I'm sure there's a whole process it has to go through.
Oh my gosh, there is.
So is
Thank
there
you.
anything, yeah, is there anything else, anything coming up this season, 2022? I assume you're going to go defend your title.
Oh, I
And
am.
yes,
That's already on my calendar, and you know, I'm gonna
it's
fill
like
it
a
with
big
some guest
star.
posing. Oh, it is. It's a big circle, and you know, big old line for a couple days before for arrival into Vegas, and don't be late, Yahoo, and all of this kind of stuff, right?
Right.
But you know, the one thing I've seen differently in our natural side
Mm-hmm.
versus the NPC IFBB,
Mm-hmm.
everybody's so much more gracious, you know, and more accepting. And, you know, if you, I had an hour and a half long conversation after the press conference with Kiyoshi Moody. My wife came down from the room. Are you done? Who's this? Oh, 6-time Mr. Olympia. Yeah, he's a big one. Are you ever coming back up to the room? Da 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 da. You know that kind of thing. But you know, Kiyoshi was like, "Dude, aren't you happy? We're just talking about college sports." I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "The thing that tires me is, hey, how do you do the concentration curl like you do? You know that kind of thing.
Right.
You know, it's like once you get to a certain level, you're, you know, but then I've made so many friendships. I've talked to
Oh,
my
yeah.
buddies in Australia, you know, on and on and on.
Yeah.
You know, Argentina, Spain, it doesn't matter. It's just a quick note. And that's what's so cool about our little niche world. Because you
Mm-hmm.
don't really hear about that in the, you know, that's, I saw people come in second, you know, when they'd won in 2020.
Right.
And they were so congratulatory to the person that they lost to. Man, did you? Wow, I need to get back to work. Look at me. I was terrible. I came in second. You know, that kind of thing. Not where you would see out of most muscle and fitness or flex or anything like that back in, especially the 90s. Yeah, the judges didn't like me. My tan was off and My
Right.
tire was flat on my car. Why
It's
didn't
the
you just say you came in off, dude?
it's the
You
camaraderie,
know,
right? It's the culture that we build. Yeah, and I agree. It's very positive.
places change
Very
on any
positive.
given Saturday.
Yeah.
Who cares? Just go. If you don't like the place you were in, then come back next time.
Be
You
undeniable.
know, Courtney Spaeth had came in, I guess, third
Mm,
in the women's physique
mm-hmm.
fitness,
Mm-hmm.
where she was the
Figure, yep.
2020 champ.
Right.
And she goes, wow, would you look at these goddesses?
Mm-hmm.
They beat me. Wow, that doesn't mean that I let them or I'm going to let them again
Right.
next year. Any given Saturday. So, I
Sure.
made the comment like I did with martial arts when I said, Matt, don't chase a belt, don't chase a trophy, And then by those who don't understand what I'm trying to say,
Mm-hmm.
they get so mad. Well, that's real easy for you to say. You're a 6th-degree black belt, not a brown belt, that kind of thing. I'm like, dude, I had to be a white belt learning how to tie my belt sometime. Well, yeah, that was back in 1980. Well, so what? I didn't join the Marine Corps and start as a sergeant, you
Right.
know. I had to show that I knew how to mop a floor and get screamed at too. I mean, I think success really is, it's like getting a college university degree. Get in how smart you are, it's will you stick to it till
Right.
they give you your diploma.
Yeah. Yeah. And consistency in our sport. Being consistent.
Yeah. I can't take 6 months off and be like, oh, well, to hell with it. I'm going to go do this show.
No, that's not how it works.
No, not at all.
So, but you have a really nice setup at your house where you train, right?
Oh, yeah, you want to see it?
Sure.
Okay.
I
I've
do
got this,
see I do see a lot of your workouts that you
the
post.
Great Flex and
Oh
and the
yeah.
dumbbells. There's all the
Perfect.
bars for it.
Oh
Straight bar,
wow.
easy curl bar, pull up
Nice.
bars, ab bars. And that's see, I've even got my NAMBF stuff still up
I
there.
love it. I love it. It's in a frame.
Because, I mean, I don't care. Everybody has a story to tell, and everybody's story is important.
Yes, I agree.
Otherwise, yours isn't worth nothing either.
I'm glad that you
I
came
mean,
on
seriously.
today. I know this
Oh,
was
it's
great.
been my pleasure.
And
I
I'm
want
glad that we know like your
everybody,
history.
thank you.
Yeah.
I want everybody to train. I don't care if you get up and compete. If
Right.
you think you can, let me tell you, everybody asks me, when should I get into competing? Dude, next Saturday. I don't care. Just get in and start because you're not going to be ready ever. You go in, you start to figure it out. And then I get well, everything you've done since you've been in a wheelchair, you've won. Well, I was in the IFBB and NPC. I knew how to manipulate body transformation from
Mm-hmm.
that. They just
Mm-hmm.
took running, deadlifting, and squats away from me.
Right.
You know,
Right. Right.
hello, sauna. I mean, I'm kidding, but you understand.
Yeah. Yeah, no. You had already had experience prior. And you're right. You learned so much from your first competition. You that you can't learn by any other way except for doing it. I did my first show when I was 19. I was still in
That
high
is
school.
awesome.
Yeah, so I learned so much from that first. I still a lot of those things that I learned in those first couple of shows I did as a teenager have stuck with me, and I'm better for it for sure.
I believe you. And have you ever noticed that those of us who started in the early 90s, mid 90s, we learned stuff that isn't even taught today? You know what I mean?
It's changed. The sport has changed a lot. For some for the good, some for the worse. But the sport has changed. I'm learning new things all the time and applying old
I am
things.
too.
Yeah, like it's always
Every little
evolving. And
thing is a learning experience. And if it's not, then there's something wrong with your own mentality.
yeah, yeah. And I think that your champion mentality definitely helped you through the whole course of your injury and healing from it, and then coming out on this side of it. And keeping that positive attitude, and like you said, that just kind of wanting to like outdo yourself and win, the winning mentality, right? That you
Yes.
can't teach that. Either it's built in or it's not. I feel like I see that a lot with my young son in sports. Some kids just have it and some kids will just
Yes.
never have it. They are
No, you can't
okay.
teach it.
They are okay with their participation trophies. My kid has come home
What do you do?
crying because he didn't win the championship game. Literally in
Right.
tears.
No, no, no. I get it. I will say the number, and I've used the things I learned from athletics. I use them to get through the Marine Corps. I
Sure.
use them in everything that I do. It's a process. I don't care if you're doing a bench press or a school paper or a podcast. It's all the same. It's all about the attention to detail and doing
Sure.
the steps.
Sure.
And so, I always kind of fall back to Taekwondo, and bodybuilding is the same kind of path. You have to start on day one as a white belt, then you have to go up and then start competing. When, you start to win, then you go to the bigger shows,
Right.
on and on and on. And nobody gives you anything. I don't care if it's martial arts and you're doing your kata or you're sparring. Nobody stands there and lets you kick them in the head. No, you have to earn that, right? I was a
Right.
center mid or a center defensive mid and soccer. And I loved it because I knew my job was one thing: take the ball from the other team and give it to my striker. And I was only good at doing those things, you know? And once you find that, make that your passion, everybody. I want to see every one of you on stage. I want to share that stage with you, but you got to believe it for yourself. That's it.
Yeah.
Don't compare yourself to other people because that person is not you. I can't sit there and say, "Oh, you got better legs than I do, Sam." Well, of course you do. Are you kidding me? I can't do any of that stuff. You win in the comparison all day long, you know? I mean, you get it. You can't sit there and say,
Right.
"Oh,
Right.
well, I can only bench press 100 pounds, but look at this guy who can bench 400 pounds." Guess what? That guy started, and the one thing I hate the most about the bodybuilding culture. I don't care if it's natural or if it's IFBB. I
Yes.
don't care.
What is it?
You always see the finished championship product in the picture. You don't see when they were starting. So all of these brand
True.
new people, brand new. I did it. I was a little 8-year-old kid watching Conan, and I was like, wow, that kind of thing. And I started lifting. Nobody should look at Arnold Schwarzenegger when he's 28 years old and think they're going to look like that in 2 years. He said it in his book 100 times, in different places. I trained for 5 years before I even thought about competing.
Right.
You have to have a foundation. Have
Correct.
fun with it.
Yep.
Make it fun. Learn something new. Make it a challenge. Don't sit there. Nobody look at my Olympia pictures and say, "Oh, well, I can beat them tomorrow," when it's your first day at the gym. You know, I've been working on this for so long. So long.
Oh yeah. And then you also were featured in Generation Iron, which was
Yes.
awesome.
I am the only wheelchair bodybuilder to be featured by Generation Iron, to my knowledge. So, Harold Kelly or Bradley Beats or anybody like that sees this, if you've been featured too, I'm sorry I haven't seen it, but to my knowledge, I'm the only one who's ever been featured by Generation Iron,
Yeah, that was
and that is January the 3rd. I was floored. I was like, "Oh my gosh, honey, they must think I did a pretty good job because look, they put stupid me up on." You know, it's easy to be humble because I know I could go find bodybuilders that would just make me look tiny and small. You,
Right.
you know
No.
what I mean?
Yeah.
It's whatever. It's all
Well,
about.
what we need to do is see the wheelchair division grow because I
Yes,
think
we do.
I think after hearing this and hearing your story, it can inspire other athletes or they were former athletes. And I think this goes to show that because something happened or because something was taken away from you, it's not the end. It doesn't mean that there isn't
No, it's not.
yeah, there's something on the other side and you just need to dig deep and you need to find it and you need to make it happen. And I think that your story is really that is your story and I think that will inspire a lot of people where maybe they feel like it is the end or they like their dream will never come true. That's not the case. Like there is a division and there is other athletes out there competing and having fun and like you said making friends and meeting new people and
That's right.
winning it.
And we want you.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
want you. We are starving to
yeah,
have more athletes.
yeah. It would
And
be a
it,
lot
like
of
I
fun.
said, I don't care if it's OCB, IPE Pro League, NGA, IPE,
Right,
I'm
right.
sorry, INBA, PNBA. We
Alphabet
don't
soup.
care. Just get in here and get started.
For sure. Yeah.
I want to share stages with
Mm-hmm.
you.
Yep. Yep.
Heck, I'd love to see a mixed pair wheelchair.
Oh yeah.
I don't care. It's whatever.
Yeah.
The more the merrier.
Yeah,
Just get
definitely.
started.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. And this was a lot of fun. I learned a lot about you. We've been talking for a couple weeks now, so I learned a lot about you. I love your energy. I love your passion. And I think you have a lot to offer this sport. I know you're going to be gunning hard to keep that title
Oh
this
yeah,
year.
if you take my Olympia title, it wasn't because I was sleeping at the wheel. You
No.
take my Olympia title, it's because you deserved it. Because I don't give anything away. Nope. That's mine, and I'm keeping it till I decide I'm done with it.
Yeah, hopefully you'll have some competition up there. And yeah, that's it. So
I want some tight competition.
yeah, yeah. I think if it's promoted and we can reach the right places, get people
We
inspired.
can.
And I think there's plenty of time for people to prep for something like this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
So,
yeah. Because they want to see muscle proportion, and
yep.
they want to see cuts. The best you can come up with. You know, we we in the wheelchair division are not compared to the people that are not physically challenged. It
Right.
doesn't work like that. They don't
Right.
expect us to have that kind of look of Kiyoshi Moody or anything like that.
Right. You
You
guys have
know,
your own criteria.
yes, and I mean we get judged the same poses.
Mhm.
And I'll send you. I mean, it's the same thing. You've already got it, but
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
so it's great.
Thank you again. Thanks for being on here.
Thank you so very much for having me. This has been a delight and a privilege.
It was so much fun. All right, here we go. I'm just going to sign us off. Bye, everybody.